Hello, welcome to Chandler in Focus. I am Councilmember Nora Ellen. Today we're going to talk about emergency preparedness, and my guest is Battalion Chief Keith Hargis. Welcome, Keith.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Let's start by telling us a little bit about your background and yourself, about being in fire, health, and medical.
Sure. Well, I've been with the department for 14 years now. Currently, I'm a battalion chief, have been for 2 years. My current role is as our planning chief, so roles and responsibilities for me now, primarily with our topic of discussion today, I am the emergency management coordinator for the city. So I function much like an emergency manager would. I manage our emergency operations plan, our emergency operations center, where all of our city, including our elected officials, come, as you know, and in case there isn't a disaster. I also supervise our CERT team, which we'll get into a little bit later as far as the discussion goes. I do all of our planning documents. I do some budget and IT, accreditation, a few other department responsibilities as well. But I came from operations, but emergency management is a background of mine. I have education in emergency management as well through Grand Canyon University, and it's something that I believe in and I take seriously and enjoy doing.
Yes, I take it seriously too. So the month of September is designated as National Preparedness Month. Very important. Can you tell us about the national campaign and how it relates to our community?
Sure. Well, the National Preparedness Month is September. That's pushed out annually in coordination with Homeland Security and the White House. This year's theme is wait, communicate, and make a plan. So it's really an opportunity for communities like ourselves, as well as the nation, to focus on preparedness, to use that month to spread the word. It's really about communicating ideas, coordinating efforts, and highlighting the need for us to prepare as a nation. Picked up steam after September 11th. That was a big initiative from President Bush, was to get neighborhoods and communities active in helping out and in times of crisis. And what we found with our large disasters, not just Katrina and 9/11, but with the hurricanes and tornadoes, is that when communities are dramatically affected through disaster, we need residents to be prepared, and we just don't have the emergency responder personnel to service every household in the community. So it's really important that communities are reliant within their own household and within their own communities as best they can, and National Preparedness Month is kind of that voice, that marketing tool to help get that out there. So it's important on a national scale, but here in the city of Chandler, I think it rings true as well, and it's something that, as an emergency management personnel, I really appreciate the opportunity to highlight it, and I appreciate the opportunity to come here and talk about it.
Right. I think it's really important because if you're not prepared and something happens, it's just too late.
That's right. It's not the time to make a plan when it's happening.
Right. It's just too late. Let's talk about the different levels of preparedness, like a national level, community, organizations, businesses, individuals.
Right. So really, on the national scale, it's important to understand that that at every level of government, as well as private industry, we all need to take the responsibility of making disaster plans and preparing for disaster as best we can. We focus a lot on the household and the community level here because we're a local level of government. But the national, we have national framework, large-scale plans that incorporate all states and stakeholders and how to respond to a Hurricane Katrina-like disaster. And that trickles all the way down to the state government, county government, and then here locally. We make plans that are very detailed on how we're going to respond to disasters of all natures, how we're going to organize a response and recovery effort. And then down to the community level, we have programs out in the community, like, for example, CERT, which we mentioned earlier, that really focuses on how do you prepare yourself, your household, and how do you prepare your neighbors to help withstand and be resilient in the face of disaster. And that's really something that we have to focus on, is building that resiliency. And with that comes some sustainability, and it allows us, switching hats to a responder perspective, our ability to focus our resources on those most dramatically affected and most in need. So if we have communities out there that are able to stand on their own for a short period of time, it allows us to not deplete our resources so quickly, which can happen in any disaster, and it can happen here too.
Right. We're fortunate in Arizona by the fact we don't experience national disasters natural disasters like some areas of the country yet. We do have some things happen.
Some,
recently. We did at the Chandler Airport, and we talked earlier about an area in Phoenix that had no power for a while. So, but what are examples of emergencies that can happen here and that we need to be ready for?
That's a great question. And obviously for us, it's the monsoon season is our most significant time of disaster potential. So that with that comes high winds, with that comes power outages. We have high heat, which is a significant danger. We also have some potential for flooding, as we experienced last year in September, where we had a 1,000-year storm. We had 5 inches of rain in 3 or 4 hours, which the desert is not prepared to absorb. You know, we don't live in that climate. So we do have some disasters. Fortunately, they're not on the scale of a huge hurricane and massive debris, but we all see driving down the street, trees can come down, light poles can come down. We can have an effect on infrastructure. We can sustain significant power outages, which is critical in the summertime with our monsoon season. So heat and power outage together are not a good combination, particularly for our most at-risk populations, our elderly and our youth. So those are really what we need to prepare for regularly. Would be our flooding. In most parts of the state, flooding is the number one. But here in the valley, power outages and flooding are right there, along with some high wind as far as our risks go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right now we have a short video clip that highlights what to include in an emergency kit. So let's take a few minutes to look at it now, and we'll be back.
My name is Keith Hargis, Battalion Chief with Chandler Fire Health and Medical Department, and I'm also the functioning emergency manager for the city. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about preparedness, specifically preparedness in your home. Now, the federal government and the state recommend 3 main components of preparedness. Those are be informed, make a plan, and build a kit. Today we're going to focus on building a kit that's going to function in your home to help keep yourself and your family safe in case there's a natural or man-made disaster. Now, this kit is basically a bare-bones skeleton version of what you should have in your home for a readiness kit. Now, the idea of a readiness kit is 72 hours of sustainability. The purpose of that 72-hour kit is to ensure that your family is safe, has the essential needs to survive for 3 days without needed assistance from rescue providers. Now remember, 911 and first responders, we're on our way. We're there, we're going to be working, and we're going to be addressing the most affected areas, but sometimes our progress can be impeded in getting to you. So the best thing you can do is ensure your own safety for the first few days until we can arrive. So in order to do that, you want to build a kit. Now you can keep your kit in a backpack, small suitcase, duffel bag, or in your pantry or closet. But a kit's got some major components, some things that have to be in there. First are the survivable essentials. That's food and that's water, okay? This kit, as you can see, is made to be very small and transportable. In here we have water. That's these small little pouches here. We also have food. These are rations. They're cubes that carry high calorie count and essential vitamins. These are excellent for a kit. However, I would recommend stepping up the water significantly from this survivable amount to a more sustainable amount. And what's recommended is 1 gallon per person per day. That will cover your drinking needs as well as any sanitation needs. I really like these compressed cube MRE type food. They're small, they're compact, they last about 5 years, they're fairly inexpensive, they deliver high calories, very small area, so it's nice for a kit. It's perfect for that. If you decide to store perishables, canned goods, remember a can opener in your kit. Also in the kit we have a few pieces of safety equipment like some gloves, eye protection. These are important if the event happens to damage your home. You may need to be working outside, protecting your residents, securing your home. So these are nice things to have inside your kit. We also have the version of shelter, which are emergency blankets. These are excellent for the winter. Here in Arizona, we don't have significant cold weather events down in the valley. If you're outside, if you have a home up in the north part of the state, you're going to need more cold weather clothing than just that. But this kit comes with some survival blankets, which is a great place to start. In addition, we have some ponchos, okay, for those weather events. We are prone to flooding in the area. We can get Pacific hurricanes that push up some significant weather events. Poncho's a great thing to have in there. Also in this kit is a flashlight. Critical component. This one is battery driven. Remember extra batteries if you're going to put a standard flashlight. And then there's a first aid kit. Okay, this, as you can see by the size, is very small, but this one has the basic needs. I'm going to give you some other ideas of additional items that I would put in my kit at home, or I would recommend to you to put in your kit. First one I'll re-reference is the water. More water is appropriate, gallon per person per day. In addition to that, I would recommend at least a quart of bleach or iodine tablets. Bleach is very versatile. It's inexpensive, it's easy to get, lasts a long time. But 16 drops of bleach in 1 gallon of water will sanitize it and make it drinkable. You have to let it sit for 30 minutes, let the bleach kill the organisms that are inside, and you can drink it. Iodine tablets work the same way. But bleach also can be mixed 9 parts water, 1 part bleach, or 10% mixture for sanitation. So it's an excellent disinfectant and sanitizer. So it's very versatile, great thing to have in your kit. In addition, some additional clothing. I would recommend a change of clothes for each person. Pants, long sleeve shirts. I would recommend that you add any diapers or infant formula if you have small ones. Prescription medications if you have prescription needs. Animal food and water. So you have to prepare for our pets. It's important that they have food and water there. Some other items that you can add to your kit could be cashier's checks or cash. We could add into our kit a hand crank radio. I think it's very important that you're able to get and receive information. We rely heavily on our cell phones, but now you can easily find out on the open market hand crank radios and chargers. It has a hand crank, so they're not battery operated, and you can charge your cell phone. Cell phones are a great way to communicate, but remember, that can't be your only means of communication. Cell phone towers can get knocked out in significant weather or even with heavy traffic. So in an emergency event, even if the cell phone towers aren't damaged, the amount of calling can overwhelm the towers and knock out cell phone coverage. So a good idea to have in your kit is an old style phone. Those phones, like a rotary phone, do not require electricity to work. The phone line delivers enough electricity to carry the phone signal, and you can make and receive calls. So that's very important. For a great list of kit materials and recommended additional items, you should visit ready.gov and see FEMA's website. They have an amazing amount of information there that's easily accessible, easy to understand, and really will help you develop a disaster plan, a kit, and learn how to be informed in your home if disaster strikes.
Welcome back. That was really informative. And a key point is to have the right supplies to provide for your family for 3 days,
Right.
if not more, right? Most importantly, we should all have plenty of water and non-perishable foods. And we talked earlier, why not have enough for your neighbors who might not have done that? So then you have plenty to share, you're more relaxed and not worried anybody's going to beat down your door. So 3 days minimum. It can't even hurt to have more, and to be prepared. It's a minimum expense, nothing really big, and well worth it.
Absolutely. You know, and nationally, it's not uncommon for a recommendation of 10 days, as we discussed before, particularly with areas that are hit with high debris, where we're just not able as responders to get back into those areas. But to your point, having enough supplies to share is important when you have a community that's affected and isolated. Those with supplies, if there's extra supplies, can support those around them and really make a community stronger, which is very effective at building community relationships and making a safer community while you're waiting for help to come.
Really important. I've told my children to do that, and they said have some for yourselves and your neighbors, and we need to ask each other. I think I had never really thought about it. I should ask my neighbors, hey, you got some emergency?
Right. Absolutely. It's not all doomsday preppers. It's important. It's not a lot of stuff,
Right.
but you do need to section off an area in your home where you can keep some
Right.
supplies, and 3 to 5 days or more of food and water could be an incredible benefit to your family and your neighbors if disaster did strike.
Right. Okay, you also mentioned the video to prepare emergency supplies for pets and children as well. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think that's something that's often overlooked. It's easy for us to think about the humans in our household, but even small children that have diaper needs, formula needs, medications, things that we think about: food, water, clothing, matches maybe, but we miss medicines, we miss toiletries, we miss generators or cell phone chargers. We miss those opportunities. Pets, we miss pet food, pet medication, collars with identifications that we can find our pets. So we want to be able to take care of all the living creatures in our home for that same amount of time. And it's really imperative that we get the stores together and then we check them regularly and rotate them. And for those of us in the community that have livestock or live on larger acreage, those are even more animals that require much larger food quantities. So you really have to prepare those. And there's a lot of resources out there to help people prepare. The Humane Society puts out some great information as far as disaster preparedness for pets. So that's always great. And ready.gov, FEMA's website is an excellent source. They can go and double check a lot of the information that they saw in the video clip.
That's a good idea. And even making sure you don't run out of your medication, just always have a few days. What do you recommend that people keep in their cars in case of an emergency? Well,
a lot of times, you can be stuck in the car, flooding. Great example. Cars get disabled and just drive over too much water. So it's important that you have a few specific things. You want to have a toolkit. You want to have some jumper cables. You want to have a medical kit, a first aid kit, emergency blankets, change of clothes, a shovel, particularly if you're up north or out in the desert where you can be pushed off the road due to weather or due to lack of visibility and you need to help dig yourself out. You need to have a radio that's battery charged just in case your car runs out so that you can listen to weather updates. And then hopefully a cell phone charger as well to help you communicate. Those are just some basic supplies that you need. And another good tip is fill up your gas when it's a half tank. Don't let it go down until it's empty. You never know when you're going to need that engine to be running for you.
Right, and lots of water. I keep extra water in my trunk. I'm sure you said that, but extra water.
Extra. And here in the heat, a gallon per person per day for drinking and sanitation is the standard. But we can easily, in the summer months, without air conditioning or a power outage, we could go through much more water than that. So
we could. Who knows when our car will break down?
You never can have too much water on hand. Just rotate it.
Right. So our goal is for every Chandler household to be equipped with a kit. That's what we want. That's why we're doing this video. Very important.
Absolutely.
So how can our residents help us raise this awareness?
I think really it's about communicating and it's about spreading the word. Unfortunately, not every resident in the city of Chandler is going to see this program. I wish they did. But we have to take that information and spread it. And we try and do that through the Chandler Fire, Health, and Medical webpage, through our Facebook page, through national web pages like ready.gov or Red Cross. Has got great publications, but it's about taking the information that you hear, that you realize is important and spreading that, whether that's at the PTA meetings or HOA meetings or neighborhood get-togethers or family functions or with your school or coworkers, or anytime you're around people, this is a great opportunity to just bring it up and say, hey, it's National Preparedness Month. Have you ever spent any time or thinking about making a kit for your house? Because I think when people look at the list and they see how easy it is to put together, in an hour you could have a kit together for your family. And you wouldn't have to look at it again for 3 to 6 months, rotate a few things. It really doesn't cost much money. It doesn't take much time, but it could be critically important. I think if that word is spread and people realize it, we'll have much better percentage of citizens that are prepared in case we have that kind of an emergency. We will, because we don't want to just rely on school for our kids to talk about that. Absolutely not. It's good for every family. What I did for my kids is we would do fire drills, and it's fun. Preparedness can be really fun for your family. It can There's one time when the smoke alarm went off and my daughter stood up straight. And she remembered what we did in our drills. So they really do remember, and it is important. We focus a lot on the kit in this section, which is important. But there's really a couple phases: make a plan, make a kit, and then make a communication plan together. So your family should know, who do I call in case there's an emergency if I can't find any of you? How do I get out of the house, and where should we meet up? And where's our supplies at? And those are important components for a complete disaster preparedness, is to not only just have a kit, but know what to do with it, know where your family's going to go and how to account for each other. And they love it. We practice the same thing in fire safety. Where are your exits at? Where are we going to meet? Where's your meeting spot? All the kids out there will know it. We do it every in third grade in every school. So they'll know and they love it. It can be fun. They do. I remember when I was a kid, we loved the fire drills.
Okay, a few months ago, I participated in the CERT program. That stands for Community Emergency Response Team.
Right.
And I was very impressed by what I learned and really enjoyed it. So can you share with our viewers how the program works and what they can gain from going?
Sure, absolutely. I can talk about that. First, I do want to say how awesome it was to see leadership in the CERT program. I know we've had a couple council members who have gone through the CERT program now, and it's really a testament to how important preparedness is in the city. So thank you for participating. It is a great class. Really, CERT breaks down to a 20-hour program that's held currently on 3 Saturdays, 2 8-hour sessions, and then a 4-hour drill day. And the things that CERT covers, it covers basic CERT operations, and the name says it for itself, Community Emergency Response Teams. How do you engage in your community in case a disaster strikes and be of assistance? Because that's what we found is that across the country, when disaster strikes, people show up. The communities unite, Americans unite, and want to help out. This gives a little backbone of training to help you be more effective at aiding, and it really gives you an opportunity for volunteer as well, if you want to volunteer in a community. So the CERT Basic is the first step in the CERT program, and it covers things like incident command system. It covers things like fire safety, hazardous materials, terrorist potential. It covers disasters and medical operations. So it covers some very specific things. Search and rescue is another good one. So there's a lot of didactic information and classroom information that's taught by our firefighter personnel to the citizens. We usually have classes of 30 people or so. And then at the end, it culminates with a big drill, and we have victims that are moulaged. And as you remember, with your class, getting out there in pairs and working as a team and putting out fires and rescuing people and communicating. It's really an interesting process, a really challenging process, and it's a great growth opportunity. So you can feel more secure taking that information then back out to your community, your neighbors, and your family, and saying, "Look at all the stuff that we've learned." So it's a great program.
It is an excellent program. I was amazed because you think, "Oh, I'll know what to do," but there's organization is extremely important, and I learned a lot about that. So I personally, my philosophy is, as a leader of the city, I'm required to have this kind of knowledge. So
thank you for coming. It was awesome.
What are some volunteer opportunities with fire, medical, and health?
Well, we do have a few programs. CERT's a big one. Obviously, that's a topic that we're going to discuss. So CERT is a great opportunity. It's our largest volunteer group. We have 82 active members right now, and we've trained 600 community members through CERT. So that's a great opportunity if you're looking to educate community in preparedness, if you're looking to assist responders in the face of an emergency. That's a great opportunity. We also have our crisis response unit, which accepts volunteers, and that works alongside our fire apparatus on medical calls, where we have members of the community that are in need of some behavioral health assistance. And that can be for a variety of different reasons, but they need support and they need resources, and our crisis response unit does that. And that's a great opportunity to be right there on the scene with the responders, delivering very, very important care to our citizens. So that's a great opportunity there. And then we have a senior volunteer program as well. And the senior volunteer program does smoke detector checks and replaces smoke detectors. So that's another opportunity for volunteerism. So we have a lot of opportunities just within fire, health, and medical for our members to get out there and impact the community.
Right, and actually when I lived in Tempe, I was part of the Tempe crisis response team called Care 7. So what happens is you can do your job because there's a lot of emotional needs at a crisis event.
Absolutely.
And so that's why people can just help with that.
Oh, it's critical. And you're not out there on an island. You have a trained professional with you alongside to assist, but it allows our fire companies to go back available when the medical needs, the emergent needs are met, so that we can respond to the next emergency, and the crisis unit is there to deliver that longer term support that's very important to the system. It really supports the system well.
Right, and it's a wonderful program. There's a lot of ways we need help, and
Absolutely.
that we can help other people. Do you have any other advice to help people be ready in case of an emergency?
Really what I would advise people is to take just a little bit of time and do a little research. Everything is just a few clicks away. Ready.gov is a great place to start. www.maricopa.gov. Look at the county website. And then you can come to Chandler Fire Health and Medical's website in our emergency preparedness section and do a little reading, and you can get a wealth of information about how to start taking those first steps to prepare yourself and your household. And then once we get that done, we can start working on educating those around us and helping them prepare as well. So just my advice would be take a little bit of time, and it'll be well worth it if disaster strikes.
I think so. Give up just a few hours of TV and could save a life.
That's right. Yours.
Right. We just have a couple minutes remaining. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Let's see. What else would I like people to know? I think, as I talked about the resources that are out there, that's critically important. Getting the education, but also maybe spending a little bit of time and looking at the networks that are available and the ways that you can impact those networks. So I think if people take some stock, first get a lay of the land and understand some education, understand what it takes to prepare, what the movement is, what directions and steps you have to take, but then how do we take that the next step? So where are my involvements? Am I involved in my church? Am I involved in a nonprofit? Am I involved in a school? Am I involved at work? Where are my connections to other people? And then those connections and those relationships are really how the message spreads. So I think if you get yourself in order and get yourself prepared and do that education, but then look at other people that you can impact, the word spreads quickly. It doesn't take a few conversations for it to impact 100 different families through just a few conversations and some passion and some excitement. That always goes a long way. Mm-hmm. So if you think it's important, you believe in it, do something about it, and then spread the word.
Exactly. And we have a lot of ways now with the internet, Facebook,
really
Twitter, to spread the word.
Absolutely.
So, well, thank you. This was wonderful. I'm Councilmember Nora Ellen. See you next time on Chandler in Focus.